Hi everyone, welcome. Carrie Waring here, and today I'm really excited to have Stacey Waine join me on Psychic Catchup. And hello. Stacey of Soul to Soul Healing is a spiritual guide who, by passing messages from the light, encourages all things related to personal and spiritual growth. And through her teachings, she allows a really safe space for you to find true happiness. Welcome, Stacey.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And we're really today going to delve into the topic of the collective consciousness and really just have a chat around it. Hi, Monique. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Yes, the topic of the collective consciousness. We're going to have a chat, how we understand it. We'll take some questions and just let people get to know us a little more.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So what really prompted this chat was a discussion a little bit of a discussion over in our Mediumship Academy group and just around the collective consciousness. Hello, Jackie. Thanks for joining us. And just the collective consciousness. So I know that it's a big word, and sometimes it sounds a bit fluffy, doesn't it?
It does, and misunderstanding of what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. And just sort of, I guess, the whole idea of to just simplify it a little bit. And so I guess let's start with what we understand it to be, Stacey. You know, so for you, what does the collective consciousness? What thoughts come to mind when you think of that term, or understanding?
Yeah. Okay, so for me, it's all we are one. Everyone is one. We are of the same thoughts. We are of the same feelings. And literally, we are all connected. So exactly that, connected consciously to everything and all. All that is, I guess, is, sort of how I understand it to be.
That's certainly, I see that's our connection to it, that's how we are part, because essentially we're part of that collective consciousness. Yes. The actual, for me, the space of it is the pure energy that everyone on the planet, or even more, beyond Earth, basically. It's beyond Earth, but it's the pure energy that we all contribute, that we all bring together. And so it goes far beyond Kerry, Stacey, it goes far beyond the planet. It's, I certainly think as a collective we have, and it's almost like it's got this umbrella stuff of, that it's that big. But then there are these little pools within it. So Earth has its own little collective consciousness, and then even within that, there's different pools of collective consciousness based on different beliefs and thoughts. So, if you like,
I see the same thing,
so if you liken it to the fact that there's a collective consciousness for different religions or different spiritual beliefs, which is what we're here to talk about today. There's all of that, and so the collective and our loved ones in the spirit world continue to exist as part of that collective consciousness. Because
I believe it's our interpretation of it as well, to how we want to connect to that collective consciousness for our understanding.
Yes, because your awareness of it can shift and change. Totally. And as you said, whether you are aware or not, we are connected to it as one. We're a wholly part of that collective consciousness. So what happens for us as we grow spiritually and personally, our awareness will shift of it.
Yes.
And we do become at some point aware that we are fully connected to all that is throughout all time and space.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's how, even from my own personal experience, that is exactly how it's happened. It's gone from being connected and understanding your angels and your guides and your loved ones to actually going further beyond that, to realizing that, oh, hang on, there's a bit more to it than just what I was thinking to believe. But at the same time, relaying and going back to that whole, this was my perception, but it also, my perception of that helped me to grow and to learn and to understand more of the collective consciousness.
Yeah, and because we're not necessarily going to be ready to step into it straight away and be aware of the connection that we have, because it opens so much more of your energy, and especially with those with psychic sensitivities, you know, it just opens up so much more. But it's really, the important thing to recognize is that it is pure energy.
Yes.
Because that then has an impact on how we manifest.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
come to it and understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And because for me, when I guess, you know, a lot of the talk here on my page is all about mediumship and all about our loved ones. And if I can give people an analogy of general, like a really good analogy of how I certainly sort of see it, or the energy coming together, it's a little bit like the lava lamp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have this big glob and pieces sort of break off and we come into body, and, you know, then we sort of go back and be part of that big glob in that where we came from in the first place. And I guess that's the simplest way that I can sort of explain and give people an analogy of how it may work in their mind. Yeah. But so essentially, when as mediums, what's happening is that collective consciousness energy, that part of that your loved one is a part of, what the medium's doing is tuning in that intention and drawing down the consciousness of your loved one. And the energy manifests for us. That's what happens. And yes, it happens in the process of mediumship, but that energy is manifesting every day, every moment for people in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. So for myself as well, I don't connect to a loved one as such. So the messages or insights that I actually will get are just through images and hearing. So there's not a physical attachment to a loved one for my connection.
No, but you would be getting that information.
So whether it's coming from that, it's more, for me, it's now literally going into that whole collective consciousness as we spoke about. So instead of, say, labeling it to a loved one, it's in that big bubble, and I'm just taking the information of what needs to come through, not labeling it to a specific person as such.
Okay, yep, but it's for your recipient, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's still for the recipient, whoever I'm in front of, wanting, you know, they've got questions they want answered and things like that. But it's not, okay, so for myself personally, it's not about grandma. Like, I don't connect to grandma coming through to say you're going to have a boy, or, you know, it's things like that. For my connection, it's more about life and getting your life sorted on where you're wanting to go, the manifestation of your life that you're wanting to create and change. So for me, that collective consciousness, it's just coming down through that. It's not labeling it to your loved one, if that makes sense.
Totally get it. You know, I guess, you know, that is the difference between, you know, psychics and mediums, isn't it? You know, it's where our connections go. But essentially, whether we realize it or not, we're all connecting into that.
It's the same thing.
Collective consciousness, because we all exist in that.
Yes, that's right.
You know, and it is just our different intentions and our different levels of awareness that helps us manifest and create what does transpire.
And I believe too, it's whoever, you know, you're with at the time as well. You know, those people need to know that, you know, grandma, their uncle, sister, friend, whoever it is, they're needing to know that they're still there. So without having that understanding of what is the collective consciousness, because for some people that's quite deep and daunting to get a grip on that. I know it took me a long time to actually go, oh, I don't get this, how are we all one and we're all, you know, having the same connection. So therefore, for that connection of bringing the loved ones in, that we need that, because then that helps awaken, and then in turn and in time, people connect and start understanding more of that.
Absolutely. It's everyone's different need is what is the intention behind it. And it's I guess for me, it's the power surge. That need is the power surge that has the energy of the collective consciousness manifest.
Yeah.
And some people absolutely have that need to hear from their loved one. You know, other people,
right, yeah.
Other people come to don't and just want to, you know, know, you know, how can I sort this shit out in my life?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. You know, and I think that also too, you know, and this is only my personal preference and from my own experience, I think that also goes to when you're connecting with people on this, you know, how we're all in alignment. For, you know, we draw the same clients in, the same people in. And because even for me, I'm very much someone who just give me the answer, tell me how to do it, and that's it. I don't need the fluff about with everything. So I find, funny enough, that is exactly my work. There's no fluff about. It's just, this is how it is. This is what you need to do. How do you want to do it? And we pass it on. So it's very much whoever you're connecting with at the time to how that message is going to be relayed as well. So whether they're needing that loved one to come through, you know, to have that connection, so they realize, because they need that nurturing from that loved one at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, grief is part of their mix if that's the case. You know, but I'm like you, Stacey, and I'm very much just get down to business.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
and it's one of the reasons why I've never studied tarot type of thing, because I've always found it like way too complicated and there's too much to know.
Yes, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, and it also sort of plays out when I sort of go into in the past when I've done a lot of haunted locations. It's like, you know, my tool is my mediumship, so I just go in, you know.
Yeah.
Assess the place, do the things, and then, you know, like if you're there for hours on end overnight, as a lot of times things can be, I'd get bored.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'm exactly the same. Yeah. It's in and out, you know, and it's the same with, you know, finding the different ways to connect as well. You know, I'm not someone who can sit there in half an hour, 40-minute meditation. It's, you know, you just give me that answer and bring it in, because I you know, I'm ready to go sort of thing. So it's that whole... Yeah. Give it to me. So I feel that's where, and you know, for a long time, even learning mediumship, as we know, mediumship, if you want to label it that, to me, that's very difficult. Okay. If you want to label that mediumship, for me to literally connect to a loved one, I find that very difficult. If the loved one, as their consciousness, so to speak, is to come through, it just comes there and I get who it is.
Yeah.
But if it's not, for me to literally, you know, sort of zone in, as I call it, I struggle, because I'm so used to just trusting what I'm getting, the information that's coming through, just so used to trusting it as that collective, in a sense of going, okay, well, I know who I'm connected to, so therefore and I trust who I'm connected to, so therefore there's not a need, in my perspective, you know, because also too, the client who's coming to me doesn't have that need either, because if they did, then they'd be sharing that with me before they came to see me.
Yeah, or they'd probably be drawn to someone else.
That's right. Yeah.
So the minute for you, because mediumship does have very expectations from the public of it needs to be, we're looking for certain pieces of information, and certainly I know for me that my work is a bit of a balance between, you know, providing that evidence to then going, okay, what does spirit really want to say? So it's just where the difficulty can be for people is in those expectations of evidence.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. So it's just try, and exactly like you said, that's where then people are drawn to different people, because that's what they're needing. They need that evidence.
Yeah. So, but it is all very much, I guess, everything. The collective consciousness is part of our. It's part of our being.
It's all that we are. It's all that is.
Absolutely. And we are connected to it in every moment of every day, not just for the purpose of mediumship, but in manifesting our world, our life.
That's it. All your desires that you're wanting.
Yes, and I have found over the years that there's a level of evolution that we can really only reach to a certain extent because of the collective consciousness. You know, because we're here in this time, you know, it's, you know, things like, I guess, you know, what the current topic of discussions are, and you know, the current big conversations, you know, we might be all helping to break that down and all part of it, but there's still an evolutionary process for the collective consciousness.
Yeah, there's only so much that can happen here in the here and now.
Absolutely. And I guess this is where I'm sort of coming to with those of us that are spiritually awake, you know, and those of us, especially those of us that do serve in some way, that there is a big responsibility on our part to help spark that evolution, you know, and definitely share our messages and share our words, and be out there leading by example, because, you know, for every, you know, it's the ripple effect, isn't it? If we be our truth in our life and we come from love, that ripple effect is going to flow and evolution will happen. And as we know, we may not see it in our lifetime.
No, but it's happening now, as you know, with our children, and then it will happen with their children as well. You know, there are more people waking up to wanting to understand more. There's got to be more out there, you know. So they're wanting to awake, not so much awake. I guess it's awaken, but it's also, you know, they're done with the old ways and they're ready for the new ways.
And I guess it's a thing of currently our collective consciousness still honors the ego self above the spirit self. You know, and we grow up with that, you know. So, and I guess it's part of the shift that occurring is bringing that honoring back to the fact that the spirit self does exist, and that, you know, or the God self, whatever you want to call it or need to call it. But we're currently in the mix of bringing that shift about to come back to honouring that and having that lead the way for everyone.
That's it, and I think it's a big part of recognising all those elements as well, you know, that you're going through in life. It's, you know, the ego is going to always pop in, it's always going to come in, you're always going to have those reactions, you're always going to have those judgments, but I think it's how quick you react to bring it back, you know, to honour your truth, because you don't want to feel this way or you don't want to act this certain way. It's honouring that and bringing that back to change it, because, you know, we're in control of all that. So we're allowing how we want to go and proceed with it.
And absolutely. And at some point when you've done enough self-checking, self-monitoring and all of that stuff, eventually you find it all comes to balance. Yeah,
that's it.
You know, and then that's where our responsibility comes in first, is that it's with ourselves first. And then
we can get it out.
Share it, keep talking, because we're here to help with that process of evolution.
That's it.
You know, and that's our responsibility as being part of that collective consciousness.
That's it. And realizing for everybody too that, you know, we all go through it. We're either all going through it, we either have gone through it, and that's why it's so important to share everything. Especially, you know, when you're in a position where you can, then you need to share it, because, you know, what you're actually going through in your life, somebody else is also either about to go through it or going through it at the same time. So, you know, we can all work together and we can all guide each other. And that's the whole point of the collective, is for that whole purpose, is to be guiding and supporting each other, to learn, to grow.
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why I sort of suggested, hey, let's just hop on here and have a conversation, you know. So we have a comment here from Gemma Rose, just letting everyone know Stacey can't see the comments, so I'm just sharing them so that she's fully aware. So Gemma Rose says, yes, totally get where Stacey comes from. I was the same, and it takes a lot of effort for me to be in the energy of a medium in the sense that is perceived by society. Yeah.
And, you know, until you can actually grasp that and stop listening to other people, once you stop listening, you got it.
Yeah, and she said, totally agrees with those big conversations and the spiritual shift to support those conversations of hot topics. We're ready, and Spirit is helping to facilitate that change as well.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And I think too, you know, a big learning for me is, you know, you need to talk to a lot of people. So whether they're mediums, or even if we just say collectively in the spiritual world, so to speak, you know, we need to talk. But what I've come across over the years is there are a lot of people who want to shape you and form you into what they know. And you will know it for yourself because it doesn't feel right. So even for my own learnings as such, so I know that I've always been able to hear. So even if you want to link it to spirit, say, even if we want to use the word spirit, right? So I've always been able to hear spirit. I can see images. I get given images. Now, I've always trusted that. But then I was told to be put into this little bubble, which I didn't know. You know, when you're understanding and learning your growth, you have no idea. So you're listening to everybody and going, oh, I have to do this, and oh, I have to do that. But you know in your heart that it's not feeling right, but you're going with it anyway because you don't know any different. The moment that I literally accepted and went, you know what, I'm listening to all these people and I'm understanding where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's not feeling right for me to be doing that. So again, you go into your meditation, you ask the questions, what's going on and everything, and it's trusting the answers that you're getting. And once I fully accepted the fact that, you know what, Stacey, you don't need to connect to mum and you don't need to connect to grandma, because the people who need to hear your message or what you've got to say don't need grandma or pop or, you know, a friend to hear that message. They just need to hear whatever is going on in their life. And that's why I think my link is very much on life and getting what you want out of life, the here and now, is believing that. But it's literally stop listening to other people on your own spiritual growth, because we're all so different and we are all needed differently.
Absolutely. And one of the themes that I've constantly been receiving from Spirit, probably over the last 5 years at least, is the fact that mediumship is evolving. You know, it's evolving beyond what we know, aka John Edward, you know, like it's evolving beyond that. And a real prime example right at the moment that I've been sort of taken with is the Medical Medium book and Anthony Williams.
Yeah, amazing, isn't he?
You know, absolutely. Certainly, I'm not someone, I'm all in moderation about me and my life. So it's not like I'm going to go whole hog into all of his stuff. But what really got me was the fact that from 4 years old, his mediumship ability, and he's connecting it to spirit, and he only ever talks to that one spirit, and it's specifically about health. And this is the uniqueness coming through, you know. This is, you have your uniqueness. This is his uniqueness. And this is just a prime, really popular example of where mediumship is going to go. We're still always going to have those general people that will bring through loved ones in the way we know.
Well, they're needed. They have to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, though, we're going to find more and more the people that step into opening up their mediumship are going to find more of their own unique uses for it and their own way. And us those of us that are teachers like myself need to be encouraging people to discover their own unique way.
That's yeah, exactly. And, you know, the thing is, it is people like you to do that, because we need that out there. It's, you know, gone are the days of just your single standard, you know, medium person that you go and see, because we can't have it like that, because everybody's evolving. So, you know, even on my own spiritual path, you know, I started out with, you know, going to a medium I needed to talk and I needed to understand certain things. So from there, it just continually evolves, but it only evolves when the collective consciousness has started to enter through you for you to evolve and to awaken higher. Now, this is what I believe. So I believe that, you know, we're all learning, and it's our way of understanding and learning. Now, we also have that choice to whether we want to take that further. So even for yourself, you know, you may have started out as just, you know, as we know, an everyday medium, but then you have consciously gone, okay, well, I'm ready to expand on that, and allowed the collective consciousness now to more come through to you to be able to expand that. So therefore your clientele changes, you change, your connection changes.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things where people get scared. Yes. You know,
I was that.
Same, you know, like when you're having to let go of how you knew things, it gets scary, you know.
It does. And also there's a lot of things, you know, like I know when all the changes first started happening, I was so tired. I didn't want to do anything. I was lethargic. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I've got glandular fever again. That's how tired I was.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so I went back to the doctor, blood test, no, I'm all good. And then it was only, you know, probably, I'm no word of a lie, probably about 7 to 8 days of feeling like this. It was literally an instant snap. And then I got it in a meditation. There's the new energy shift. It just takes time. Now I know when I'm feeling like that to allow it all to happen. It's the changes happening.
Yeah.
So if you don't explain that to people, how is anyone supposed to know? People think they're just getting sick or they've got all these health issues. Don't get me wrong, sometimes they are health issues, but sometimes too, it's just an energy shift that you're going through, and that the body needs to just rest to take it on board.
Yes, and it is, you know, an energy shift such as that can certainly amplify any health issues, you know, that are already existing.
Yes.
So it can do all of those things, but it is just basically because what's happened is your soul is expanding. It's literally acclimatizing to new connections and to new energies, you know, and it does take time with that sort of thing. And that's all. You're reaching even more into the expanding into the collective consciousness. So, and it all has, absolutely. And all this stuff happens whether you're aware of it or not.
That's right. Yeah. And also too, you notice that you sort of, the differences become in your life as well. You know, so we talk about, you know, how you react and the judgments and all those. You also, you realize the connection that you have because you're aware of, if you're judging, say for instance, if you have come from constantly judging and everything and you're working on your judgment, but then all of a sudden one day the judgment's no longer there, or it's nothing compared to what it used to be. There's the next step. You've just taken up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the idea, and that's the purpose is, you know, we're wanting to evolve to the most of seeing people in the light. Now, it's very difficult as humans to see everybody in the light because we have so many nasty people that do want to hurt and put you down. But it's you recognizing you and your reactions, not them. You've got to separate the two of you from that, you know, to recognize your own journey, your own learnings, and accepting those parts.
Absolutely. And I know from my own experiences, when you sort of start breaking down judgments on your part, that creates a whole different shift. And, you know, that's where things like you attract different people and, you know, all of that happens. You know, some people leave your life and, you know, other people come in because you've changed. And, you know, there's got to be that synergy and vibration that because you've broken down something like judgment, that vibration is different.
That's right. And so, and that's what you want to be continually doing. Constantly, your vibration, you're wanting it to get higher and higher and, you know, more vibrant for that purpose.
And it's that vibration and that energy that is a major part of who we are, where the connection into the collective consciousness exists.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yep.
So I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions, because I know we've still got a few people watching, and another comment from Kelly, she says, "Oh my God, I so needed to hear this way back in the 80s." I probably did too back then.
Nice.
No.
It would have been nice. But see, and then that's where we shift back to go, you weren't meant to know it then.
You know, and I just go, what, back in the 80s, I was just more worried about, you know, what band I was going to see. But no, Kelly, I totally get it. Totally get it. It's that kind of, and that's one of the things why I love seeing the next generation really come to this stuff really early, like in their 20s. You know,
well, it's even earlier. My two boys, 13 and 16. My 16-year-old tells me stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm not there yet. Don't get that bit. But he, you know, it's like he's tapped in, you know, even deeper into the collective, because he comes out with some things that I'm just like, oh, right, okay. Yeah,
absolutely. Like just, you know, they're going to lead us, aren't they? You know.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. And Kelly's just made a comment. Kelly and I, Kelly now lives in Townsville, and we were childhood friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's just sort of saying Wham, like as in Wham the band, you know, you know, like George Michael and all that, because I think we did go see those. So if anyone has any questions about our topic today, any questions of Stacey. Now, Stacey, did you want to open it up and do a couple of readings, or take some?
If anyone wants to know anything. If not, if nobody does now at point, I can, or if they want to write it in the comments, and I can check in after as well, so I can check in throughout the day.
Okay, no worries. So Stacey, tell people a little bit about your work and I guess how people can get in contact with you and stuff like that as well.
Okay, so easy to get in contact with me through my page, Stacey Waine. They can contact me through there. And so, like I was saying before, my connection, so how I'm led to believe my connection is to a collective of beings. So for me to explain it at this time and point, for how I've been explained it, I connect to a collection of beings. They're from the Council of Light. Now, they are linked under sort of, well, because it's a contradiction to how we know the collective consciousness, but because we need labels and because we need to know, okay, who is it you're actually speaking with? So they've come to me as the name Cressler. So that's how I refer to them, as Cressler. Now, they also come through as Cressler, your guiding light. So they're here to shine the light, basically, on your life. So we really focus on manifesting in your life, making changes to where you need, and my little banner is Life, Love, and Your Journey. But it comes under absolutely anything. So whatever you're going through, wherever you're needing guidance, wherever you're even needing support, you know, it's where I'll get given information. And it can be words, it can be phrases, I can get images, and then we just guide your path that way.
Okay, so I guess so most people, when they come to you, what challenges do they have? What are they?
They're stuck. Relationships. Yeah, it's your typical. We all go through it. We've all gone through it. So it's relationships with, whether it's the partner, whether it's the kids, their job. And you know what? The big one at the moment, probably in the last 6 months that I've had, is life. I'm sick of where my life is going. I need to change it, and how can I change it? So then we implement different, and obviously everybody's different, you know, with what where they're guided, but it, in a nutshell, it's just guiding them where they can make the changes in their life, what they're seeing, the same patterns that are continually reoccurring that they're doing, but they're not aware of it. So when it's pointed out, sometimes it's like, oh, really? But it's because you're not aware of it. You're constantly going over and over and you can't shift.
And because just as you're talking about that life, I'm just getting like a big awareness coming through of like, wow, you know, like what really is going on and why so many people are sort of feeling just one thing in their life is a mess after another thing, or why they're dealing with a whole heap of crap right now is because it's almost like the universal energies are just sort of like coming in.
They're shaking everybody.
And they're basically saying, hey, you know, this is not your truth. Yes. You know, you need to make big changes and you need to do that consciously. And where people are getting stuck is people are getting stuck because they're scared to make those change and be their authentic self.
It is,
you know.
Yeah. Yep, very much. And that's exactly what they are. They're scared. It's that fear of, if I do this, and also too, it's that fear, if I step into what I really want to do or where I know I really need to be, who am I going to lose?
Yeah.
You see, so it's that you're not going to lose anybody. Not that you're not meant to.
Well, they're scared of, you know, people judging them, and they're scared of, you know, family expectations and all those sort of things. But I guess the thing is, if anyone does have, you know, a constant round of challenges and conflict and, you know, life just feeling really tough for like at least the last 6 months or more, then, you know, it is that change that you need to be questioning what's more authentically you know.
That's it. And we're getting a shake up for that purpose, you know. The universe is literally getting a shake up for that purpose, because we can't evolve and we can't awaken and we can't stand in our truth if we just stay put. So literally everybody, and you notice that when you're talking to people, so many people are questioning life in general. So you know that, you know, and I know for me that I have a big smile when I hear that, because it's like, you know, you get that in your meditations, and you get where people are coming from when, you know, they're seeing you, and then you're out in the street talking to friends or even family members, and it's the same pattern.
Yep.
And it's like, yes, everybody is actually getting it, because, you know, the collective consciousness again is working, shifting everybody to go, wake up. This is not your life. You are not happy. Let's start moving it. And then they're guided to see the people who they need to see, or hear the people they need to hear, that are going to help and support them to shift that. Yeah.
And the thing is, they really want things to settle down, and they really want some peace. Then they need to step into those shifts, and they need to step into those changes, because otherwise it'll just be a repeating pattern.
That's it. Yeah, you need to own it. You know, you need to own it. And you know, it is difficult and it is hard, and there's a lot of things that you have to sort of be confronted with to be able to do that. But to come out on the other side, it's an amazing journey.
Yeah,
it really is.
And it is scary, you know, like it is scary. So
and we all have had to do it, and we're all going to do it again. You know, there's elements of us that, you know, sort of we look up to other people, but, you know, at different points for them evolving and growing too, that those people who we're looking up to are going to go through the same thing. It's just they're more consciously aware. Oh, if I take this leap, I know I'm going to be okay, because they've done it that many times.
Yeah. Although it's still like, even though you have the faith and you know that you've got to trust in how you feel and the guidance, it doesn't make it any less scary.
No, that's right. And this is my little, I don't know if you can see it. So that says trust, believe, receive.
Okay, there you go.
And I had to actually get that tattooed on me, because that was a constant reminder in my head that they would, you know, constantly say to me, you need to trust.
Yeah, well, in the interest of sharing tattoos, I have one that says faith.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had that for about 10 years or so.
Yeah, so sometimes we need those reminders.
Absolutely. So I can Stacey, I'm not seeing any comments for anyone that's asking for reading or anything.
Okay.
So let's just, at this point, if anyone has a question, Stacey has offered that she'll check out the comments and follow through for and check in a couple of times for the rest of the day. Yep.
Yeah.
But I also know, Stacey, that you've got an event coming up in my local area.
Yes, I do. On the 28th.
Yeah, so tell us about that, what people can expect and where it is, because I know it's with Clorinda and Eclipse of the Soul.
Yes. So that's at Gledsville. I think that's how you pronounce it, isn't it? Gledsville?
Gledswood Hills, I think.
Gledswood Hills,
yeah.
That's it. I can never pronounce it, but yeah. So that's there, and you'll find that on my Facebook page as well under events, and that's called Soul to Soul Healing. So that it's more about, it's an open, I've called it an open workshop, more so because it is guided by whoever's there. The topics are guided by there. So it's still coming through from the collective. It's still coming through from who I know as Cressler, but it's literally going to be what you want to know. So it's like a Q&A with spirit, questions and answers. If you have questions, we can answer them. If there's, somewhere on your journey that you're struggling with, we can delve into that as well. So, and it's more done on a collective because everybody learns from everybody because everyone's going through the same thing or about to go through it.
Okay. So being that it's is it that, because I know you're saying it's an open workshop.
So I'd say, I would probably go more of an open seminar. I would say more like an open seminar of discussions. That's probably the easiest way to paint it. Okay. Still get all these little topics all around the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's next week on the 28th and in the Camden area, basically.
Yeah, and you can find that on my Facebook page, and that's 10 till 11:30. That one.
Okay, cool. We do have one lady asking for reading if we've got time, and then we'll probably finish up after this, if that's all right.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, her name is Lee Argent, and I'll spell that for you if you need to write it down or anything, because I know you can't see the messages.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so Lee, L-E-E, and Argent, A-R-G-E-N-T. She has just said she would love a message if Stacey has one for her.
Okay, so where is she wanting the message from? So where in her life is she wanting? So we're not doing specific. So we do specific. So it doesn't be coming through as a generalized. So where in her life?
Okay, so I'm just waiting for Lee to answer that.
Yeah. And while she's writing that, I'm also getting from her that she somewhat knows the answer, but she's not actually listening to it. So she's feeling it in her heart what she actually needs to do with whatever she's going to ask. But again, that comes up with, that fear, the fear factor of if I go that way.
Okay. Yeah. It's taking it. Come on, Lee. Job wise.
In her job. Okay, so was I correct in saying that you know what you need to do? This is going to be hard because she's going to go back and forward. So I'm getting that, like I said before she even wrote it, I'm getting that she already knows what she needs to do. Her heart is already telling her what she needs to do, but she's not following through with it for the fear of for the fear of if she steps out and doesn't have something to step into, or for the fear of maybe not enough money being brought in. But she already knows. I'm getting that she already knows and feels it in her heart.
Okay. Ali says Stacey is already correct.
Hey, there we go. See?
Yeah.
And when this is happening, and this is what I teach my clients especially, is our heart will give us the answer. So our heart will guide us to where we need to go, and what it is from there. And it's a big step because we need to trust. So if you're not used to listening to your heart, making the decisions and the choices for you, it can be a bit hard to trust that process of what you need to do. But what I say to people, and even I will even do it with myself if, you know, my heart and head are torn between, you know, what I need to do, is just sit quietly. Not necessarily in a meditated state or anything like that, but just sit quietly with the question that you're wanting answered, or with the outcome that you're wanting, and feel it in your heart. And then from that, allow that expansion of that energy, of that feeling, to just encapsulate you, and you know that you're actually guided because you're trusting that process. And then, you know, and then just take that leap.
And that's a good technique, Stacey, to sort of tap into that, sit quietly and tap into the outcome that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do know Lee a little bit. She's been a long time client of mine, and is a big follower here on the page. So I know one of the challenges that she can have is sort of like going, okay, is this my heart? You know, like
and we all do that.
Yeah. And
you know, is it my heart, or is it my head, or am I talking to myself, or is it spirit talking? We all do that. And that's why you need to have that sit back. Because also too, when you're wanting an outcome, from while you're thinking of that outcome, at the same time, the process is going through you of what you're about to do. So that's when the heart will talk to you. So you've already decided on what you should be doing. So with the job, she knows what she should be doing. If the outcome is not feeling right with the heart's not going to react. You're going to get a completely different reaction, so therefore you don't follow it. So, you know, the same energy that you get when, you know, you walk in somewhere and your gut's turning, or someone's telling you a story and you know it's not true because your gut is turning.
Yeah.
That's what you'll get. Yeah.
And I was just having this conversation the other night in my online class, is when trying to make a decision, we can often forget that, you know, the heart will respond. You know, you will have a response. And then I was trying to make a decision based on something where there was no response at all.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I wasn't feeling connected to it at all. And we were just having that conversation about, that's a message as much as anything, you know, so you have to remember because that's a no.
That's right. And then you're sitting there trying to go, I can't feel anything. I can't feel anything. That's your answer.
Yeah, exactly. When you can't feel anything, you take that as a no.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Exactly. So it's just, so Lee has said thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
And she's just sort of also said exactly, Kerry, just in the fact that she does struggle between knowing the heart process and knowing what's right. So just, Lee takes and just take some of Stacey's advice and sort of sit with it quietly and just prompt the questions in the heart and see what comes.
Yeah. And then the big thing from it is trust. And you know what, that's a big lesson for lots and lots of people, is just the trust of the process.
And that just comes with actually implementing the process, you know. So
because once you start doing it and it happens, oh, it worked. And then that's when you go, oh, it did work. It actually worked.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I want to thank Stacey for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's been a great chat. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. It has been good.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone for joining us today, and you know, your comments and just watching the live here. And best of luck with your workshop next week, Stacey.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
See you later.